Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good evening, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Yes, I know a lot of y'all are like, what? You're back on again? What? Something just recently happened. I thought I was done for the night. In fact, I thought I was done with this topic for a while, to be completely honest. But something just popped off tonight on Banfield that I was like, you know what? We need to hop on and talk about this. This is very weird information, and it's questionable. It's actually contradicting new details that are I'm still trying to make sense of it all as well. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this, and I was like, you know what? It's late, I know, but hey, F it, I don't care. We're going to do this. We're going to talk about this because this information doesn't make any sense to me, okay? And of course, I like to try to give you guys as much as the information, be one of the first to give you the information out here, at least try to be one of the first. But you know for a fact, everybody and their mama is most likely going to be talking about this either first thing tomorrow morning or even late tonight right now as we speak. So for those of y'all who are coming in right now, I appreciate you guys being here and talking about it with me at this late of a time. It really does mean a lot. But nonetheless, like I said, I wanted to give you this information. It just popped up and I was like, I don't get this. It's not making much. The math ain't mathing to me because this is some contradicting information. And again, it's from a reliable source. I wouldn't sit here and say that the source is not reliable. It is absolutely, I think, it's very reliable information, but it is contradicting. You're going to see what I mean here in just a minute, okay? All right? But before we get things moving, okay? Hold on, let me make sure everything's good and going. Before we get everything moving and popping into this show, and it's not going to be a very long one, so everyone get in here right now, because this is not going to be a long one, but, you know, because it's late. And I know a lot of us still have school tomorrow morning, okay? So please do me a favor. As soon as you walk into the show, hit that like button down below, crush it, send it past 300 likes. That would really, really, really mean a lot as you guys start to file in. Good evening, good late evening, good morning, and good afternoon to every single last one of y'all, because I know some of y'all are really interested in this, and some of you guys have been keeping close tabs on this Idaho 4 tragedy for sure. So I have some information that may be interesting for you guys to listen to. So if you haven't done it yet, please make sure you crush that subscribe button, all right? Like I said, I've been keeping my eyes on this, keeping tabs on this case like a mug still, because I want to give you guys the information leading up to this trial that's happening on June 26th. And you know for a fact, we'll be watching, readily eager to find out more information, okay? So hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family, and we got to get into some things, okay? Like I said, I'm not going to be here for a long time, but I'm here for a good, informative time with you guys. Now, here it is, guys. I have a lot of questions. I have a gang of questions, okay? That I'm still trying to figure out, because my mind is still spinning on this, okay? There's been some breaking new details revolving around what actually happened to the victims inside this house of horrors, okay? So real quick, Juanita, welcome to the family membership. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so very much. And just like Juanita, consider becoming a member of the family. Just hit that join button down below and become a member, okay? I try to give you guys as much information as I can when it's breaking or whenever I can get live or do a pop-up video. This had to be done live. There's no way I would have done this as a pop-up video. We need to experience all this together as a family, okay? So I appreciate you guys being here at such a late time or early time, because I know in some neck of the woods, it's still like a late evening, okay? Or like, in early, late, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, like Daisy just said, it's almost 9 in her neck of the woods. You see what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys being here late or even very early. It doesn't matter. Thank you. Okay. So here it is, guys. We got to get into some things. Like I said, I can't be on for a very long time. But there's some new information that Banfield broke on to her show. Now, this information was given through Banfield. Apparently, sources told Banfield about new details that happen inside the house. Now, 1122 King Road, where Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie all lost their lives. Okay? Now, there's some new information here. Linda, thank you so much for the 5. That I'm still trying to wrap my mind around because it contradicts other details that we've heard in the past. Now, let me just get everything rocking and rolling because there's some information here that is going to shock a lot of people. And it's going to want I got questions, y'all. I got questions, baby. So we got to get into this. Let me get this video up here really, really quick. Okay? Because we got a couple videos. All right. One of them is this one right here. Banfield explaining the details that she's received about what happened inside this house of horrors. And of course, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, obviously, there were 4 college students in Idaho, University of Idaho college students that lost their lives in November. There was a huge mystery of who did this, how did this go down, so on and so forth. We were wondering for a very, very long time until just a few months ago, just about a month or so ago, we found, or police found, a prime suspect. His name is Brian Koberger. He is the man suspected of doing these unthinkable things to these 4 kids. Now, there were 6 people in that house. Okay, there was 2 girls, 2 surviving roommates that are, I'm assuming they're right now in witness protection or something like that. I don't know. Okay. But we have been hearing a lot of different stories and a lot of breakdowns of what happened inside this house. Now we're hearing from Ashley Banfield something a bit different. Let's take a listen. And please, wait. Let me make sure I got the sound on this bad boy. And please, guys, definitely hit the number 1 to let me know you guys hear this. And I have to jump in and out because of fair use. I'm just giving you a fair warning. Let's rock and roll, shall we? And hit that like button down below. Okay.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so.
Whoops. Okay, let's try that again. That was weird. Let's try that again, shall we? Let's go.
Some breaking news on the Idaho murder case. A couple of sources with knowledge of the investigation have told News Nation some details that up until now we did not know. Let me lay a few of these details out, but I do want to warn you that this is graphic information and it is uncomfortable to hear this because we're talking about innocent kids who were killed in that home back in October. And not only that, this is evidence that likely will come out in court at some point. Whether it will be germane to who the killer is or not, that remains to be seen. But it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number 1, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the 2nd floor afterwards. And
number 1, I have to break this down. I know some of y'all are like, this to the rest. I got to, unfortunately, because it's fair use. Okay. Number 1, They're saying sources are telling News Nation's Ashley Banfield that the incident started on the third floor first. Then they went down to the second floor. Down to the second floor and did the unthinkables to Ethan and Xana. Let's continue.
And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun. These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And those two facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was.
So, for those of y'all who are late to the party, or for those of y'all who need someone to explain this again, okay, so this is some graphic details, obviously. So this is not for the faint of heart, okay? Still, obviously, we knew it was going to be some sort of gruesome information. Allegedly, this is coming from a source to Ashley Banfield. Now, I'm not saying that Ashley Banfield does not check her sources and all that stuff. I ain't saying that. But I have lots of questions for her right now. Now, one of the pieces is, of course, first and foremost, the tragedy started on the third floor. This is the information that she received. Then they went down to the second floor, and then apparently Ethan must have encountered this monster in the hallway of the bedroom of Xana's bedroom. Okay? I'm going to run that back a little bit because I want to make sure I have this absolutely crystal clear. Obsessed for Disneyland. Thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. Yes, I am on late. I just wanted to give you guys this breaking information. So please share this if you can. Do not forget to hit that like button. I know I've been on another story quite heavily, but for a fact I'm always keeping my eyes open on this case because for a fact I am covering this when we get into when June comes around. The trial will come. I will be covering it, or at least keeping a close watch on this case like crazy. Okay. So let me roll this back one more time. Juanita, thank you so much for the $5 sticker. I do appreciate that. Let me run this one more time so that we get a full understanding of what she just said. And I'm going to break it down even in smaller chunks here. So ride with me on this one, y'all. I know you guys like seeing the full chunks, but unfortunately, these are the breaks. Let's go.
Not, that remains to be seen, but it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun. These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And
Heard that last piece, right? I'm playing it again for those of y'all who are getting late to the party. But I also wanted to let you guys know the parts that I'm trying to say that just don't add up. Even she says it too. She says the coroner said something different and the police say something different. And we are going to get into that this next part here in just a second with the coroner. But there are some things here that don't make any sense here as well. And that's the other question I was just about to ask Nicole B. That's an absolute fact. Who sourced though? Who the source though? That's what I'd like to know. Who's the source? Who's the source that called up the people over at News Nation to give out this information? Because it contradicts not only the coroner, which the coroner, I don't know, yeah, but then it also contradicts some other things that the police have said. I'm going to get into that in a second. But and the reason why I say that is because the details don't math up. Especially when she says about Ethan. She says at least that's where it started. Now, I get it that maybe things are different, but this doesn't make any sense. Let me play the rest of this clip. There's another clip I need to show y'all, okay? I will let you know that one is even worse, or like the information is graphic in there too. So fair warning on that as well. But I wanted to give you guys a straight up heads up on what the information is going to be flying like crazy first thing tomorrow morning. You know for a fact, everybody named Mama that has been covering this Brian Koberger, Idaho Ford tragedy, Thizang, is going to go all up in that ash with this information, okay? You're going to see all kinds of videos left and right of, people spinning this, trying to change it into something else, so on and so forth. My main question is these shocking new details credible? Is this source that they have on this show absolutely 110% credible? Because we're hearing something completely different now. I will get into that, I promise you, in a second. Let's play the rest of this. They said something terrible happened in the neck area on Ethan. But they also say, I want you to keep this in the back of your mind because I have to keep moving. They said it happened in the hallway, in the hallway going into the bedroom of Xana's bedroom. Okay, so I want to make that abundantly clear. Okay, so let me continue. But like I said, we're gonna come back to this here in a second because I got receipts. So we're gonna check those things out in just a second. So let's check the rest of this out, shall we?
those two facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was the coroner said in her words. Were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
So those were the facts that the coroner told us. And like I said, it is in direct conflict with what these two sources familiar with the investigation are now telling us as well. That obviously needs to be sorted out and likely best in a court of law as well.
So again, you see the coroner saying something completely different. Now we're hearing something. The coroner saying one thing, this source is saying something else. Like, it's getting sloppy. Let me just say this. It's getting sloppy, right? And what else is new? It's been sloppy, right? This whole case has gone sloppy, and it's not because of Banfield here. I'm just saying, like, just in general, the rumor mill, the stories and all that have been absolutely sketchy as hell, right? This coroner is interesting to begin with as well too, and the fact that she was like, oh, yeah, they were sleep in their beds, when that may not fully be the truth, is also beyond me as well. Okay, so now we see this. We hear this part. This is only part number one. We got more, baby. All right. And I'm going to play the rest of this. I think there's like a few more seconds left. So let me play this a little bit.
Also want to tell you these other details that we have learned from these two sources, that Xana Kernodle put up a fierce fight when the attacker set upon her, repeatedly grabbing the attacker's knife, so much so that she sustained deep cuts to her fingers and that her fingers were nearly severed. Now, that does actually work in comport with what Xana's father had reported to an Arizona news outlet about what he knew. Thank you.
Okay. So you heard that part one. And they said that she put up the fight. Damn right. She put up one hell of a good fight. So much that she was the one with the defensive wounds. Remember, we heard that there was stories of defensive wounds on some of the victims, right? Now we're hearing something different. Or now we're finding out who that person was. Xana put up, sounds like, one hell of a fight, right? We pretty much already knew that information about Xana maybe putting up the fight. Banfield even confirms that as well. But the information that's a little bit strange to me is the affidavit. The affidavit says something completely different. Now, remember, they said third floor is where everything, the tragedy started. Then it went down to the second floor. Ethan was attacked basically in the hallway leading into Xana's bedroom. And then Xana put up a fight. Now, let me say something and let me show you guys what I'm trying to say. The probable cause affidavit says a bit different of a story. So we got to look at that here for one brief minute. So let's take a look at this, shall we? So, of course, according to, I forgot his name now, Brett Payne, all right, a peace officer that was there. He says he entered the King residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. Let's move on, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room that it was actually Xana Kernodle's room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Kernodle laying on the floor. So she was in the hallway, guys. Again, I know some of you guys keep saying, no, she was in the bedroom and all that. The way I see this, I see her being found in the hallway. That's the way I read this. Still to this day, where she was found is in the hallway, or at least the first person in the bedroom. Okay, so maybe the doorway of the hall, a doorway leading into the bedroom, some sort of thing like that. That's how I see it. Okay, now let's continue, because that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but maybe it does. I don't know. Let's talk about it, shall we? So moving on, let's get into the rest of this. Okay, so She was lying on the floor. She was deceased with wounds which to appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. We already know that piece. Also in the room was Ethan. Okay. Now, of course, they say that he was deceased with wounds later determined by the autopsy report by Spokane County Medical Examiner. Okay, that were caused by a sharp force or caused by sharp force injuries. Okay, now that is just on the second floor. Okay, so when I read this and then I hear about what happened to Ethan first, and then Xana putting up a fight, and where Ethan's body was found, and where Xana's body was found, to me, the math ain't mathin'. Now, I will say this, though, too. And there's still another video, another part 2 video that I want to show you guys. But when you see something like this, okay, I get it. Maybe his reaction was, you know what I'm saying? Like just a very physical reaction of what happened, of this injury that happened around his neck, if you get what I'm saying. So, and I hate to get that graphic. I apologize, guys, but still, think about it. Maybe he went back into the bedroom in shock, and it was just a reaction, right? Maybe going to her for help. Maybe. But he was found in the bedroom, and she was found, I think, in the hallway, or at least close to the front, to the door of her bedroom / hallway. So he was in the bedroom and she was out. You see what I'm saying? Now, I understand that, not everybody's going to stay in one spot, especially when something happens to you here. You're frantically, I'm assuming, I've never experienced that, nor would I ever want to experience that. But when your body's in panic, you might go towards the person that you love, or, you might go towards someone to say, like, I need help. Maybe that's what happened. And you never know. He may have just slumped to the ground. We don't know, right? But she was found, again, on the outside. Let me show that to you guys again. Okay, so as I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified, Xana laying on the floor. Now, I could be taken, like, again, the way I interpret it, it could be completely different with other people. Some of you guys may agree with me. Some of you guys may not. Now, the fact that you got to remember the details that Ashley Banfield gives is that Ethan met with the bad guy, with this evildoer, okay, in the hallway of the bedroom. Then this chink happened, and then somehow he was inside the bedroom. How, I don't know. But like I said, I'm still trying to figure out how the math is math. I'm trying to math the math here, okay? And again, I am not sitting here trying to say that the source that Ashley Banfield has is not credible or anything of that sort, but I would really like to know who that source is, right? And I don't think that she would go and just pull up some random information if she didn't, or her team didn't do everything in their power to find out what is true and what is not. So there is a part of me that's wondering, I just got questions. I'm an inquisitive mother lover, as you already know. So I got questions, especially when you hear the probable cause affidavit or you read it, it says something different than what we see with those details that are being said. Okay. And those details could be, obviously, it's all speculation, it's all theory, right? It could be backwards, right? Maybe she put up a fight. He did away with her and then went after Ethan. And it could actually be the same timeline as well. I don't know, right? But to think that that all happened in that way, and that we're not hearing this from the police, we're not hearing this information from the police, we're hearing this from an anonymous source on Banfield. It does make you ask questions. That's all I'm saying. It does make you ask a lot of questions. Now, let's get into this second video.
Well, I want to be
Because of course, there's a bit more in here. Okay? There's a bit more information. All right? But let me get, I think there was a super chat here. I didn't want to have it disappear too much. Jeff H, what's up? Thank you so much for the 2. All that, yeah, and police aren't called ASAP. Exactly. I still don't know why. I still don't know why. And I'm still trying to figure out why this happened the way that it did, right? And that even with Dylan, I understand shock, fear, all those things. Add all those things, put those all in a box, okay? I get those things, but I'm still just trying to understand why it took so long to do the 911 call. I was, and I have a heart, and I'm a compassionate human being, okay? So there's a part of me that does understand shock and fear and all that. There's just another part of me that wonders about the 7, 8+ hours of no contact with anyone. And then, of course, we're now understanding or hearing that there was calls to people on campus before there was even anyone, before there was any conversation with 911. That's a part that I still am trying to wrap my mind around as well, right? And it's been a while, I did one little pop-up video about him, about BK a few days ago, but it's been a while since I've talked about this topic, because I was waiting for more details, right? But I have many, like I said, many questions. Let's get into this second video. Again, I got to cut this up, unfortunately. Okay. We gotta do this. Okay. So let's take a look at this one. And guys, I see a bunch of y'all in here. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Please be sure to hit that like button down below. Crush it. And if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. All right. Your boy's working hard out here in these streets. So please, by all means, hit that subscribe button. I'm working my way towards 90,000 subscribers. So if you can do me that solid and help me get past that 90,000, that would really mean a lot. Hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family, okay? Let's get into this. Hit that like button down below, and let's rock and roll.
Begin with you, if I can. This new information that is coming to us from sources close to the investigation, it really does fly in the face of what the coroner had reported earlier. Is it possible that both things can be true at the same time, what the coroner said and what these sources have said?
Well, good to be back with you, Ashley. Yes, the short answer is yes. When I listened to what the coroner shared, those are very, very general terms, very general comments. So, and now we're talking about specifics. So yes, in the big picture of things, both of those statements are going to be accurate.
And then the notion that Ethan may have made his way partially out into the hallway, is it possible that maybe the attack began there but then ended in the bed? And forensically speaking, and I'll get Joseph Scott Morgan to add to this in a moment, they would be able to tell, the murder investigators would be able to tell
I think so. I had talked about this before, that it's certainly possible that the evildoer, I will not say his name, did not know about Ethan being present in the house. So he is going to be kind of like a Ron Goldman, Nicole Brown situation, where he is collateral damage. He has to address the fact that he has an unknown present in front of him. So I don't think that he is, when he gets to Ethan and makes that attack, it is certainly possible that he falls back into the bedroom, onto the bed, and then Xana at that point understands that there's something going on. She may already be awake, as Ethan is, and then once he has taken care of Ethan, then he goes after Xana, and she is awake and aware, which gives her the ability to put up a heck of a fight. And unfortunately, of course, it turned out the way it did. So I would say that if the information that you've received is correct, is accurate, that it certainly falls in line with what we were told in very general terms at the beginning of this, and then what the evidence, as far as I was concerned, had led me to speculate on. So yes.
You know what I like? Dawn just said it too. This gentleman here, I forgot his name, but he does make a good point here about this being a kind of like a Ron Goldman situation for sure. If you think back in the unaliving of Nicole Brown Simpson, or Nicole Brown, like it's collateral damage. And the details that we hear about noise being heard and all that, I mean, you never know. Ethan could have been out there to check on what was the noise, like what we've all been speculating, that maybe he got up because he's the man, right? He's a big athletic dude, right? Got up to go and see what the commotion was all about, and just met face to face with this bad guy, with this monster, right? And then this thing could have happened the way it did. I mean, again, we keep talking about it. We keep talking about it, right? About the possibilities, but again, these possibilities are endless when it comes to this. Let's continue with this, but of course, I had to jump in and out. You know how it is, fair use stuff. Let's rock and roll.
So, Joseph Scott Morgan, I was trying to be as tender as possible with the coroner in asking the nature of this is before we ever knew anything about the nature of the stabbings. And I asked if any of the victims had been slashed. And she seemed to be very clear that these were all stab wounds. But these sources are saying that, Ethan had been slashed, that his neck had been slashed, and that was the original injury he received. I guess the same question for you. Can those two things still be true? Can a coroner consider a slash a stab?
If her assessment was made merely by what she saw at the scene, I'd say, yeah, they could be true. Those two things could be true.
Well, I'll stop you right there. I asked her that. I said, were you present for the autopsies? And she said, yes.
No, I said at the scene. If she made that assessment at the scene, just to be very blunt with you, these injuries are going to be encrusted with blood. It's hard to make that assessment at the scene. However, if she went to the post, this would have been easily visualized at that point in time. And not only is the injury to the neck a slash, allegedly, according to this person, but these injuries that you're talking about on the hands, these are going to be incised wounds as well. Not necessarily slashes, but this is as a result of grabbing hold of the blade and pulling it through the hand. These are not stab wounds. I can tell you that definitively based upon my experience. So, yeah, there probably are some stab wounds, but that information is, you need more clarity here as to what she's saying. And that's, I guess at the end of the day, it's not really the point. I would draw into question what kind of exam was conducted on site at the scene. I've always wondered, when did she actually get access to the bodies, and how much exposure did she have to the remains that she would have had to have traveled to Spokane to view those posts, because that's where they were done.
That's a very good point there. That's actually a very, very good point. Um, and it's interesting because, as we heard her pull up that interview with the coroner, and she's talking, I don't know, it just seems as if the coroner is kind of just shooting from the hip with some of these answers. She ain't even giving us like straight up real like solid answers. It seems like she's just guesstimating, or she's just kind of, you know what I'm saying, making very broad strokes of something that she may not know everything about, right? Which again, we've already heard about this coroner being sketchy as F, right? Sketchy as F. So something about this, just, like I said, the math just ain't mathing with some of this stuff. But this guy, he's got a very strong point. Strong points. Let's continue.
Well, I'll tell you what, I did ask, because I know that so much of the reports come in from not only the scene and the logistics of the scene, but also what the medical examiner is able to determine at autopsy. And she said she'd been at both. She was able to confirm the amount of blood in Xana's room was consistent with the injuries that she saw on the scene. So, Phil, I'm going to ask you something that is more about the killer's MO, because Brian Koberger is alleged to have staked out that home, been there many times. His phone had been there at the late night hours many times. And so one would only reason that he would stake it out that night as well, and that he would know that Xana and Ethan had come home and were there together, as opposed to being surprised by that.
Well, I think that's the great unknown here. So we don't know if he was there staking it out and what that time frame was.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we are going to still have a lot of questions here, right? We're still all going to try to figure out, his MO, why he was there, why these kids of all kids, what was the thing that, what was the main thing that triggered him, that got him to do the unthinkable thing that he did. But now we have this information, which I will probably play one more time for the guys, for all y'all who are late to the party. Just the first video of these unbelievable details. But still, it still makes me wonder, like, why was he there? What made him do what he did? And how credible, sorry guys. And how credible is this information? I hate to ask that. That's the other question too. Just getting one more thing. How credible is this information? Right? And so, like, that's the thing. That she says, if my memory serves me correctly, she says sources. So how many people? Who are these people? Who are these sources? That's what I'd like to know. Because it does bother me that we are hearing this information and we're not getting this from the police. We're not getting this from the trial. The trial hasn't even happened yet. And everyone and their mama has already been saying, we're going to have to wait till the trial till we actually get full truth of everything here. And now we're getting this. And I know that some of this we already knew, like this and the defensive wounds, or actually the defensive wounds we knew about. We didn't know anything about Ethan. The information, though, that gruesome detail about Ethan, but still makes you wonder, what the F? How's this even possible? Right? And again, how credible are these sources? We have people that have been doing all kinds of crazy stuff, creating all kinds of BS, y'all. All kinds of BS. So is these sources solid? Again, not knocking Ashley Banfield or the Nancy Graces of the world. Obviously, they do their due diligence and they get their sources, and hopefully the sources that they have are telling the absolute 110% truth. I'm not going to sit here and say that they are lying or anything like that. Nah, why would they? That's the stupidest thing in the world. But it does make you wonder how and why, right? How and why. So I guess only time will tell. But there is one more piece that I wanted to play for you guys, which I thought was interesting.
Public defender Ann Taylor is still on Brian Kohberger's case. She has not recused herself, and she is back in the news again tonight. Prosecution asked her to share any evidence that might tend to prove Kohberger's innocence, and this week she responded. It's called a discovery request. She said that they have nothing to turn over at this time, writing, and I quote, "There are no books, papers, documents, photographs, or copies, or portions thereof in the possession of the defendant at this time, which will be submitted at the time of trial." And she goes on to say, "There are no results, reports of physical or mental examinations or scientific tests, which are in the possession of the defendant at this time." Joining me now is Jennifer Coffendorfer. She's a former FBI special agent with 28 years.
So far, the defense ain't giving them nothing. Defense is saying we ain't got nothing. We don't need to give you nothing. Strange, right? And somebody said something. Of course, I gotta pull this up. Sorry, I gotta itch my ear. Damn, hate when that happens. But Ash Marie said, "Pascal, wasn't there a gag order in place?" Yes, there is. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, there's a gag order in place, unless it's been lifted. In fact, they even the judge even updated the gag order a few weeks ago and said, hey, anybody, any victims, any of the family victims, so on and so forth, anybody that is connected to this, that is going to be in trial, cannot speak a damn word to the press until this trial is over. Any of the information that we get is only going to be revealed during this trial. That's it. But here's the thing. That doesn't mean that these sources that may be reporters or people who are close friends of somebody and this, that, and the third, hearing a story or catching wind of something or maybe glancing on some paperwork, they can sit there and tell anybody anything they want. They're not tied down to any law by any gag order, okay? Because they're not witnesses. They're not a part of the actual trial. So these sources could be a person, a friend of a friend, something, this, that, and the third. It's a little game of telephone, right? Where this information is just being passed on from one person to another, and then eventually gets to one of Ashley Banfield's credible sources and so on and so forth. But I also do find it very interesting that Ann Taylor, who is defending BK right now in this upcoming trial, ain't giving prosecution nothing. Now, my question, though, is, does it mean that she ain't got nothing? Because she may not have nothing. She may have nothing at all, and she's still working from scratch. She still has till June to show up with a solid argument, right? To poke holes of reasonable doubt in the prosecution's narrative and their argument that they're going to be throwing at the jury, right? But this is very interesting that right now we're looking at this information and they're asking for some stuff from Ann Taylor and they haven't gotten nothing. Giovanna, exactly, a nothing burger from Ann Taylor. I think that's interesting. Either she's got some things up her sleeve or she ain't got nothing. Let's continue. Let's hear what our friend Jennifer Coffendorfer has to say about this. Let's rock and roll.
In federal law enforcement. So Jennifer, hearing about, I'm going to get you to sort of respond to all of the things that we're reporting tonight. This new information coming from sources close to the investigation, and then of course this new response to the request for discovery. So let's start with the new information. Your thoughts?
Well, the new information coming forward, depending on how you really look at what the coroner said. If you look at the coroner's notes, he or she actually came back later and sort of recanted her initial statement and basically said, no, they weren't really all in bed. So we now have really two statements from the coroner regarding what she saw that night. So I would be in agreement with your other guests that both what the coroner said previously and what we know now could comport, because I think they were said in very general terms initially.
There's also so much discussion about this potential conflict of interest. I know that the rules of conflicting are slightly different in Idaho, but I keep coming back to this could be a death penalty case. So I don't think you can cut any corners anywhere and assuage any sort of conflict at all if you're dealing with a case that could end up as a death penalty case. What's your read on that?
I agree with you, Ashley. The bottom line is the rules are definitely lax when you look at both the case law and also their regulations. And actually, in one of the court rulings, they even described it as sort of relaxed in terms of their conflict. And this just isn't a situation where you can operate in the gray. We know that the defense is going to put forward a very strong argument, and that could entail drugs. And there could be a nexus that they try to establish. And based on Kara's background, that could be an issue. And I just cannot understand why anyone in the abundance of caution would continue to represent.
And that there hasn't been any kind of public addressing of this issue at all. Maybe there's been an in-camera meeting, but we don't know anything about it. Last question for you. I want to read you something that really tweaked. This was fascinating in the state's response to the request for discovery. So, to the extent that information exists regarding an informant who is not going to be produced as a witness, including recordings or written statements of an informant, or that identify such an informant, such information is not subject to disclosure. And the state asserts informative privilege and prays for appropriate protective orders as necessary. An informant? I mean, should we assume there is one? Or is this just in case there is one? Help me sort through the import of that.
I have been wanting I need to do this as a separate show to talk about if there is an informant or not. Maybe I can get Jennifer Coffindaffer on the show to talk about that. I'll let you guys know. If I do. But let's see what she has to say about this. But that's very interesting information too. I remember seeing that. But like I said, I kind of stepped back and was busy on the Tyree Nichols case. And so I'm glad that she's bringing this up in this piece here. So let's take a listen to this. And that's very interesting though, right? Another informant. Yeah, a possible informant, Lisa. Yes. Okay. A possible informant. Let's hear what she has to say about that. Okay.
Well, when I first read that, Ashley, I was very convinced that there is an informant or informant information that is going to come forward. If there weren't, they would have simply addressed that they don't have any such information, and it would have been in the negative. But because it's worded this way, I think that there is some informant information.
Well, I can't wait to find out what that is. Jennifer Coffindaffer.
Even Jennifer Coffindaffer looks at that and goes, wait a second. There's a good possibility. There's a good possibility of an informant. There could be an informant in this. Informer. Is he bum bum down? Remember that song? Anybody? Anyway, that's kind of wild though. If you really think about it. Who is the informant? Who is the informant? That's what I'd like to know. Ain't that some wild stuff? And if it does come out, yes, no, guys. Yes. Yeah, I said snow. Yeah. Don't hate. Appreciate. Somebody said color me bad. No. No, baby. No. Snow. Okay. But this is very interesting. If there is an informer or informant, okay, if there really is that, okay, then that might explain a few other things of why they were able to connect dots so quickly. But it does still make you wonder, who is that informant? And I guess we're only going to find out as time goes on. We're not going to find out until the actual case, unless Ashley Banfield or other true crime pundits, I get like true crime anchors, because you can't really call them content creators, because she's, you know what I mean? I guess true crime personalities, there we go. Unless other true crime personalities who have strong sources can actually get a source to come up to them and be like, yo, we got the informant. Here it is. It's this person. But you can't say their name, but it's true that there is an informant. Maybe there is one. Maybe there isn't, right? We don't know as of yet. But this is wild to me, this information, okay? And obviously, I am going to dive into that a little bit more in another show for sure, because I know that this is something that we all want to do more, get more information about, because there is so much going on, so many questions, especially with this whole show, or at least this portion of the show that she had, Ashley Banfield. So many questions I got. So real quick, let me I'm gonna pull up the first video again, because I want you guys to hear the information one more time, because I know some of y'all are kind of late to the party and want to hear the information that I'm telling you guys, or that I'm sharing with you guys. There's some shocking but also contradicting details that have been given out on Ashley Banfield's show. She says she got these from sources working closely to this situation, to this tragedy. And here is the information. But of course, before we get going, hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay, subscribe. That'd be great. We are almost at 90,000. We're almost in the 90s, baby. Okay. And it wasn't Informer, that song Informer made in the 90s? I think it was. Okay. Ziggity boom boom down. Let's go. All right. We hit the number one. Let me make sure you guys can hear this. All right.
Have told News Nation some details that up until now we did not know. Let me lay a few of these details out, but I do want to warn you that this is graphic information and it is uncomfortable to hear this, because we're talking about innocent kids who were killed in that home back in October. And not only that, this is evidence that likely will come out in court at some point. Whether it will be germane to who the killer is or not, that remains to be seen. But it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun. These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And station are now telling us as well. That obviously needs to be sorted out, and likely best in a court of law as well. Also want to tell you these other details that we have learned from these two sources, that Xana Kernodle put up a fierce fight when the attacker set upon her, repeatedly grabbing the attacker's knife, so much so that she sustained deep cuts to her fingers and that her fingers were nearly severed. Now, that does actually work in comport with what Xana's father had reported to an Arizona news outlet about what he knew. Thank you.
Okay. So now that you've heard that again, I wanted to play that one more again for you guys so that you guys can all hear it, especially those of y'all who are watching it from the nosebleed seats, so that you're not missing out on any of that information. The information that was told earlier in the show, I just repeated it again so you guys can hear it to basically bookend this show here. But this information is shocking as hell to me. Obviously, it does bring some questions, but there is some logic where, there are some places where logic can come into play. Probabilities and possibilities of how human interaction and how people react to certain things, especially when they're getting wounded. People will respond in a very, very interesting way when that kind of thing happens. So when it comes to the details of where they all ended up, at least with Xana and Ethan, we are hearing some different things in comparison to the probable cause affidavit. Now, going off to the coroner, in my personal opinion, I feel like shouldn't even be trusted. I think that she is just, I don't know. I don't even think she has. I just feel some type of way about that coroner. So I don't know how much I can trust the information she has given out. Apparently, she has changed her stories multiple times, so on and so forth. So that is a part that is a bit strange to me, in my personal opinion. So I will always look at that coroner with an incredibly inquisitive eye. But as far as the information that we have received so far, there's obviously a lot of information that they're still holding close to the chest. They haven't given us everything yet. Understandably, they're not ready to give us everything yet. They're trying to hold everything for the damn trial that happens in June. And I think that when it comes to that, I think we need to wait and see what's up with that, right? We need to wait and see that information, right? Because it's very easy for us to sit here. Okay, it's so easy for us to sit here and just assume and speculate. But this information given to us way before the trial even takes place is very shocking to me. It's very shocking to me. Okay? And there's a lot that still doesn't make sense. But one of the main things I still want to know, now that the question's been brought up, is there an informant? If there really is an informant, who is that informant? Is that informant incarcerated? Is that person detained? Is that somebody that's already been arrested? Or is that somebody that's still out here in these streets living their life? How are they connected? How do they know Brian Koberger? How do they know this bad guy? That's the other question that I need to know so badly here. Okay. But that is the show for right now. Obviously, I feel that a lot of information is not going to fully come to fruition until we actually see the trial. So yeah, we might get, a few pieces of information, which is still shocking, still heartbreaking information. But I still think that we should wait until the trial. But for a fact, still, no matter what, if there's any new breaking information, anything that pops off like this, or we get a little something, a little morsel of something, for a fact I'm going to talk about it and question the question or question the information no matter what. Okay? Actually, somebody just said something that was good. Black Lady Jane, what's up? Long time. She says, I have questions. When did the roles change? Usually it's the defense demanding for discovery from prosecutors. Why is media making much to do over conflict of interest? Oh, man. I wish I could go into it right now, that second part. But if you please, Black Lady Jane, go and check out my interview with Jennifer Coffin Dafford, the most recent one I did about this conflict of interest, and I did one with Andrea Burkhart. Basically the same day, just two completely different interviews within like an hour apart, and they both had two completely drastic opinions, which was wild. Okay. So please go and check those out, and hopefully that'll answer your questions right there. But the roles being changed as far as the defense demanding discovery from the prosecutors, that's usually how it goes down. I don't know. I think that I don't know. I honestly do not know. But I will keep that question in mind for the next time I do have someone who is an Esquire on the show, because I'd love to get that question answered for sure. That's a very good question. Kooky Cat, thank you so much for the £5. I really appreciate it. I felt from the beginning that Ethan had met the evil person in the hall by bedroom door. Maybe it was Xana who said there's someone there, and then he went to go look. Absolutely, that's exactly how I see it too. I think that he was the guy. I'm sorry for saying that, no disrespect to any person out there. It's like, women can be strong too. Yes, you can. I'm just saying, usually it'll be the guy being like, okay, there's a noise out there. All right, let me go check. All right. It's just how it is. Right. So he went out there, and I think that's where he met with bad guy, bad thing happened. And then everything else went to ish. Right. But still, I still don't know what the hell happened here. I just don't know. And who else is in here? Who else is the informant? Could it be B? Could it be Bethany? Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. But we'll find out as time goes on. Okay? But I appreciate all y'all for being here. You guys have been amazing. Appreciate the conversation. Okay? I'm still wanting to know why a 911 call was made so late. It's just driving me crazy, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. So I appreciate all y'all for being here. I know it was a short one, but it is late. And we still got tomorrow to do a whole lot of other mucky mucks. So let's get into it. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of your night. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your name. Send it past 1K if you could really help a brother out. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We are almost there. We are almost at 90,000. We're 50 subscribers away from 90,000 subscribers. Do you understand how insane that is? Hit that subscribe button. That would really mean a lot. Don't forget to do that. And if you want to support the channel even more, hit that join button down below. Become a member. It'd be greatly appreciated. Anyway, it's time to get going. Have a great rest of your night, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.